movie starts with a promiscuous young couple in a tent in the woods. After they finish, they hear a noise while getting dressed. Someone stabs the guy through the hand from outside of the tent. The girl runs while the intruder finishes him off. She runs through the woods, but she's caught. We are now at the Holy Spirit Catholic Church, where a very rebellious and promiscuous young woman named Cami is about to take communion. She gets caught giving the middle finger to her friend. Later, while Cami is cleaning up in a secluded part of the church, her friend comes in and they decide to get intimate, but they're caught by the janitor. Her father enlists the help of the priest to try to figure out how to stop Cami from being so active. He gives Cami's dad a pamphlet for a new Catholic treatment center that specializes in this problem. She flips through pictures of a recently deceased mother while being driven through the... Her dad agrees. She flips through pictures of her recently deceased mother while being driven to the treatment facility. When they arrive, they're greeted by Tony and Eugene. They're a brother and sister team who run the facility. They pray for her and then start the tour.
And protect her from the sins of the flesh.
They start the tour and show Cami and her dad the facility and tell them they've been living there since they were children. Then Cami sees a resident that she's immediately interested in. When they get to Cami's room, she argues with the father and says, "Since you're the one dumping me here, you may as well leave." Afterwards, Cami cries in a bathroom while the male residents peep through a pipe in the wall. The females are at a scheduled group session. Cami introduces herself, but the girls want to know what it is that got her here.
Was it butt stuff? I bet it was butt stuff.
Allie tells her not to be embarrassed, we're all here for the same thing. Tony brings in Cami's new roommate, Wyatt. But when Cami tells the group that Tony is adding words to the scriptures, she gets upset and berates them all for being promiscuous and tells them to go pray in the chapel. While in the chapel, Allie tells Cami the story of the killings that happened there 20 years ago. A 17-year-old priest in training murdered everyone there because he thought they were all fornicating. Tony and Eugene were there when it happened. They hid under their beds. Back at the room, Wyatt tells Cami she's been there 6 days and her grandmother sent her there because she caught her being intimate. Cami wants her cell phone back, so they break into Tony's office, but it's not there, so they decide to go to her cabin to see if they can find it. When they get to the cabin, they look in the window and see that Tony is being intimate with someone. They can't break in because Tony's awake. Upon leaving, they find Mia in the woods being intimate with one of the male residents. When they're done, she leaves to take care of herself because he didn't finish the job. He hears a noise and sees a man in a mask approaching. Once he gets close enough, he opens him up. Cami loses control and screams and is chased back to the cabin. Allie comes downstairs and checks the front door, but there's no one there. Cami reports the incident, but Tony says, "We don't believe you." And none of the girls will back up her story. She takes them back to where it happened, but there's no evidence. She wants them to call the police, but they say there's nothing there. The next morning, Cami confronts the rest of the girls, but no one believes what she saw. But they do decide to take Cami to watch the guys shower. But they're there too long and they get caught. Wyatt finds Cami hiding from Eugene and takes her to the fence surrounding the property and shows her that it's electrified. The other guys find them hiding, and Cami tells them that their friend Rob was murdered in the woods. They say they can't find him, but they don't believe he's dead. Then they're caught by Tony. Tony wants answers as to how they found that cabin. When she doesn't get any, she tortures Wyatt by pressing on her wound. Cami decides to take the blame by herself and receives a cruel punishment. She's forced to kneel on rocks. Everyone else is taken to clean the chapel. Eugene tells everyone to finish up and go back to their dorms. They all leave, but one stays behind to look at an adult magazine. After he's done, he wipes his hand on the curtain and hears someone coming. He's stabbed through the stomach by the man in the devil mask. That night, while Cami is still kneeling on rocks, she has a hallucination about seeing her mother, but it's really Tony. After dinner, Chris meets with Allie in the locker room, but they're too distracted to notice the killer is there also.
Shut up and eat it.
After they're done, Allie leaves and the killer attacks. He chases Chris through the showers and into the gym area. As he tries to escape, he gets him with a dumbbell. In the morning, Cami wakes up, still unable to find her roommate Wyatt. She goes to the gym area and discovers Chris's body. Later, they're all trying to figure out who the killer is. That's when Tony and Eugene walk in. Tony says Chris is with God now. They all want to leave, but she says we're going to pray and read the Bible, and that their parents should be there tomorrow. Cami tells Eugene she's feeling emotional and wants to speak with him in private. She needs to find a way to get the keys to his cabin. There's a scream, and when they get back to the room, Bree is holding a knife to Wyatt's throat. In the chaos, Cami gets the keys. They get to Tawny's cabin and find a landline, but they're young and they don't know how to use it. Dan finds their cell phones in the stove. Realizing all the pictures of her mother are gone, Tawny and Eugene show up. They hide behind a hanging bearskin and listen to Tawny and Eugene argue about letting everyone know that they're in danger. Then Eugene claps his sister. Later they sit down for dinner. Bree eats some of the food and somehow vomits out her tongue and dies. Cami attacks Tawny and asks her, "Why are you killing us?" She says, "Don't ask me, ask God." Cami knocks her out and says, "Let's go." They run to the front gate to try to escape, but the man in the devil mask eliminates Mia. 3 of them run deeper into the woods but can't find Allie. Dan wants them to follow him, but they don't trust him. Then someone throws a spear through his stomach. They make it back to the cabin that they were caught in before. But while they were talking, the urgency to escape the killer must have subsided because they decided to get intimate. Then they're found by the man in the devil mask. Cami's pushed down the stairs into the basement. She finds maps of the compound and pictures of the residents with red X's marked on them. Playing on the television are all the residents' parents giving Tawny and Eugene video consent to treat their children any way they need to, including her own father. On video surveillance, she sees the man in the devil mask chasing Wyatt. She runs to the yard to find her friend and finds people sitting in church pews wearing devil masks. One is Tawny's brother Eugene, the other is Allie. The other one on the bench with a devil mask is her father, who slaps the shit out of her. Cami's father explains that he doesn't want her to wind up in hell like her mother. Then Tawny removes her mask and Eugene can't believe it. The last man in the devil mask tells Cami that Eugene and Tawny were her last chance to be saved, but they were an abomination, and he eliminates Tawny. He then grabs Cami, who rips off his mask, and she sees it's the priest from her church. Gave her a body blow to shut her up. He then tells her father the only way to save her is to destroy her unclean body. He tries, but he can't do it, so he takes himself out. He gets the knife out of her father in order to do it himself. She kicks him and runs to find a weapon, but he catches her and starts choking her. Suddenly, Wyatt comes up from behind and gets him with a cross. He tells Wyatt she's gonna burn in hellfire. Then Cami sets him on fire, and the priest is gone for good. It then switches to what we saw at the beginning of the movie with the girl running through the woods and she's caught. But it's Cami and their crew calling themselves the Horrors of Babylon, and they attack the man in the devil mask.